So I think we all have these moments of reflection sometimes when we look back at our younger selves and go, I wish that I knew that.
So this is the first in hopefully a series of videos where we're talking to our younger selves about the things we wish we knew.
It's only from our struggles that we grow.
It's the tried and true saying, when you know better, you do better. Isn't that a Maya Angelou quote?
Yes.
Know better, do better?
Yeah.
Or when you know better, you do better?
It's absolutely a Maya Angelou.
And even though sometimes it's really hard to look at the past and really judge ourselves honestly, it's really this incredible feeling to see how far you've come and how much you've grown and all the work that you've put in. And I think it always makes the present feel that much more special when you realize how far you've come, because then you're looking towards your future and you're like, okay, like there's a lot that's gonna happen.
Totally.
And I have no clue what's coming.
But you know your capacity to grow.
Yes, exactly.
So you're like, well, if I did that,
yeah,
I'm ready.
I think it's so important to look back on that for exactly that reason. I look back to remind myself that I am still moving forward.
Beautiful.
Man, bro.
Man.
Wow. Quotes.
So today we wanted to share some of the things we wish we knew around 25 years old, mid-20s. And P.S., Colt and I are the same age. I'm actually a month older, so I'm the cougar.
I'm just really excited about this. Let's not even waste any more time.
At 25, I wish I knew that being a good girl or a good wife didn't mean playing Cinderella all day. I know that a lot of immigrant families like mine, being Italian, we have these very old-fashioned ideas of what being a good girl and a good wife and a good homemaker means. And what I found out is that it really ends up looking like a very stressed out, exhausted woman. And so I found myself cooking and cleaning the house all day and taking care of the girls by myself, and then I'd go to work at night and I thought, I'm doing it right. I'm being a good girl. This is how you gotta do it. But eventually I was exhausted and bitter, honestly. And I wish I knew that being that good girl isn't serving anybody. And I was giving my future husband the message that I'm okay to do everything in the house and do everything with the kids. I'm good with it. And let me tell you, I was not good with it. But I felt bad asking for help because generations of women had been doing this before me, so I just thought that's what you were supposed to do. And so I walked around like a freaking martyr for years. And when I look back on it all, I go, I could have saved myself so much frustration if I just stopped listening to these old-fashioned ideas of what I should be as a good girl and a good wife. What the heck does that even mean? And I should have asked my partner for some help and just said, hey, can you pass the vacuum once in a while? And you know what? Now, because I said something, I have a man who loves me and he cleans and he cooks and he's aware and he takes care of the girls and he takes care of me, and I can breathe now. And it's all just because I said something.
Okay, so I wish I knew the value of money. Like, I wish I respected money. And that's not to say, obviously, that money solves all the problems in the world. We didn't have a whole lot of money growing up. And then when I got out of college, I immediately got a job on a national tour, and they paid me more money than I had ever imagined somebody would pay a 21-year-old, which I was so thankful for. But I remember, since I hadn't had money growing up, now that I had it, I would spend it so quickly. And in the off chance that like it wasn't coming in anymore, I couldn't get this stuff. I had never been able to just buy stuff. And I lost my mind. Like, we were in Chicago. I was on the High School Musical tour. I remember I would get my per diem check and I would go to the shoe store down, I can't even remember the street, but I would go to the shoe store and I would buy like 3 new pairs of shoes every week. And I would just put them in my trunk. I wouldn't even really wear them. I wish that at 25, I knew. And not that nobody ever told me, because, you know, there were some people in my life who were like, you need to be saving. You need to understand. You got to be saving your money. And I was like, like, I didn't care. I wish I could go back and be like, listen, save some money, because it went like that for a few years where I was just making money and I was touring and I was comfortable. And even through the recession, like, I was so fortunate to have a job that I just had no grounding in what I could have done with that money for myself, for my future, for others. Like, that is a thing that at 25, I wish I had just had more appreciation of. I once bought a car off of Craigslist in a parking garage, and the bill of sale was a napkin. There were no plates. I didn't know that the speedometer didn't work, the tachometer didn't work, the fuel gauge didn't work. There was a hole in the passenger floorboard, like you could see the road going by. And I drove around the entire West Coast in that car. I had a great time. And I left that car in a parking lot with the keys in it and a note that said, "It's yours now." Like, I really had no clue of the value of money. So I had this mindset where I was like, well, I'm not obsessed with money. It comes, it goes. But the truth was, I didn't even respect money. I would get it and I would spend it. I wish 25-year-old me had known that there's a healthy respect that you can have for the things that you can do for your future and for others with that money, not just spending it so carelessly.
At 25, I wish I knew I had the power to teach people how to treat me. And so I think this is an Oprah quote that I didn't hear till I was probably almost like 30. She says, "We teach people how to treat us by what we allow from them." I was like, what? I remember struggling with this big time in my mid-20s and towards my late 20s. I felt like I woke up one day and I was so hurt and resentful of certain people in my life, and I had no idea how I got there. The thing is, it didn't happen overnight. You know, I didn't realize it, but I was constantly allowing people to treat me a certain way, to take advantage of me and my kindness. And I didn't say enough. I remember reading this quote and thinking, oh my gosh, I'm responsible for this. I let this happen, and I have the power to change this. And seriously, this is something that I work on daily. Like, I am forever working on this, but whenever I get that feeling that I'm getting taken advantage of, or even just feeling cheapened in some way and I can't really pinpoint it, I got like Oprah and God over here going, hold up, you got the power. And I'm like, okay. So I turn inward and I just, make sure that I evaluate what I'm allowing and how I'm allowing people to treat me, because we have the power. Right? We have the power to teach people how to treat us.
Smooth entrances. It's all about transitions. Okay, I am really not proud of this one, but the truth is, at 25 and at some other times, I wish I knew how to keep my word. Some of you may be watching this, and some of you may be people that know me and have known me for a long time, and unfortunately, that was not something that I did very well. I would make promises, I would constantly promise things, and I would hold so true to this concept of the promise. But if I just gave you my word, if I just said like, that's a thing I'm gonna do, I would find any way to get out of it. And I wish I wouldn't have done that. And I work really hard now not to do that. I didn't think about how those actions were gonna affect anybody else. I never thought about other people. I was extremely selfish, and I wish that I could take a step back at that age and go, you said you were going to do these things. You said you were going to be this type of person. A lot of that was me looking out to the world for somebody to be that embodiment of person that was doing the things they said they would do, and then I would have to live up to that. When I didn't see that, it gave me an excuse to also not have to be that. And it wasn't until I realized that if I wanted to see something in the world that I wasn't seeing, that I had to do it, that I started keeping my word.
At 25, I wish I knew to keep listening to my heart in regards to my career. So my whole life, I listened to my heart, I was very passionate, I worked hard, I followed my dreams, and then at 25, I'm on Broadway, I'm living all of my dreams, I'm so happy, so grateful, and then things started to shift like the following year. Colt and I got engaged around 26. we, I think, both had this idea in our head of what married people looked like. And it was like we were two little kids playing adults all of a sudden. We're gonna act like adults, and we're gonna do what adults do and make big decisions and make a business and settle down because that's what adults do. Like, what? What? We didn't know anything about business. We didn't really have a lot of other passions outside of like the arts. Well, the situation that we found ourselves in was very interesting, and some of you know this, and I don't have enough time to talk about it in this episode. We'll do it another day. But Colt and I owned a fitness company. Don't ask. First off, what was that old way of thinking? Gross. I wish someone had told us, just because you're getting married doesn't mean you like settle down and squash all your dreams and become your like least sexy, least passionate self. Like, what? Why did we do that? And two, I hate the fitness industry. Like, I hate working out. Like, at least Colt likes to work out, but the idea of actually working out makes me nauseous. So like any kind of physical activity I do has to be like very creative, very like spiritual, art based. So everything I do is always dance or yoga or things like that. I had no business in a gym. I was very good at it and I love helping people, but I didn't want to be doing that. All I wanted to be doing was, go back to my Broadway show or do something else creative. I didn't like being in the gym. So what was I doing there? Either way, luckily we closed that business down. You live, you learn. But all I can say is don't lose your dreams and don't lose your passion for your career just because society tells you you're settling down or you're a certain age and you should squash your dreams. Don't squash your dreams. Just keep living your dreams, keep fulfilling your passion.
Okay, I made it. So I'm gonna piggyback off that last one that Ange said, because the truth is, I wish that at 25 I had known that just because I'm interested in something doesn't mean it needs to be my new passion. So I've been working out for a long time, but when I got to Hoboken around 25, I started training and I met a really great trainer who became a very close friend of mine. All of a sudden I was like, oh cool, there's this other thing that I'm really good at that I really like. And people keep telling me I'm good at it, so that must mean that that's what I'm supposed to do now. And that is why I convinced Angelina to start a fitness company. I should not have done that. It was not my passion. It was certainly not her passion. It was just because I was interested in it. I was like, I have a tendency to become obsessed and very myopic with regards to tasks or goals. I'm very goal oriented. So as soon as I start anything, I'm like, well, what's the goal of this? And if I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna overdo it. I wish at 25 that I had just been able to grab myself by the collar and say, good Lord, man, just because you like working out doesn't mean you have to do it forever. That would have been not overkill for somebody to say that to me. I think it would have been helpful. Don't do that to someone who's not a younger version of you. Like, don't just grab somebody on the street and be like, look at you! If you have a time machine and you can go back in time and talk to your younger self, that's how I would do it, personally. So, just because you have an interest in something that you become passionate about, make sure at the bottom of your soul that that is what you want your career to now be. That's what you want to build your life into, because one of the things that I forgot in that moment was, oh shit, I've been training to be on Broadway for 10 years. I've worked all day, all night for years before I got into college. For 4 years of college, I worked and worked and worked. I got to Broadway and I worked. I remember on a chorus line, we used to do classes before the show. I was constantly training for this thing. And then I worked out for like 3 months and was like, obviously I gotta start a business now. Like, that makes sense. But I wish I could have grabbed myself and just been like, hey, you're interested in this. You are passionate about this. But is it your career? Are you gonna devote everything for the rest of your life to this? I was not. So all of this is, I think, wrapped up pretty nicely in the quote that we started this with.
When you know better, you do better.
It's that simple. Don't be too hard on yourself for the things in your past. You can't go back and change it, but we can change ourselves now moving forward.
And that's definitely a part of love.
Oh, she done did it too.
No! And that's definitely a part of love.